Praise be to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushai Bahashem, Rakakadash, double honor to the elder and the apostle of Great Mason who do well. Peace and blessing to the Hakiam who pushing these truths to the four corners of the earth, without forgetting the confusion of faith who join our rank. Remember, Great Milestone is closed, man. So today I am going to talk about Venezuela, man. Spook things are going on down there in Venezuela, man. This is the beginning of Jacob trouble. You can think that this is insignificant, it is just happening to the third world country. But what you need to know is that Esau introduces things in a gradual process. Gradually, then it will become common to the masses. Like how he introduced homosexuality and lesbian through a gradual process. Back in the day, even watching porn was a big crime. But now, people are not only watching porn. Porn are everywhere. Lesbianism are everywhere. Walking around in the so-called free land. So you need to understand Esau is a devil, man. He is a subtle devil, man. The serpent, that the old serpent, man. Even the Bible tells you Esau is wiser than Daniel, man. So if Esau is not your average specimen, so he introduces things in a gradual process. Even this Jacob trouble will begin like that in a gradual process. Then it will come all of a sudden, man. It will come a time when these things, this protesting and insurrection are happening all over the world. Then people will be complacent, thinking that they will not happen in America, they just happen in the third country. That's how Esau introduced things in a gradual process, gradually. Then your subconscious mind, it becomes common in your subconscious mind. People are taking arms in this different country. Then it will come a time when the American think themselves, why not take arms here in our country? You are the country in which we own arms the most. We can overthrow this government which have been lying us and taking us to wars. Then all hell will break loose, man. So I am just reporting this breaking news here. Venezuela opposition leader Guaido called for military uprising. So we are just measuring the time diligent. This is 2nd Ezra 9. He answered me then and said, the measure was a time diligent in itself, and when thou sees part of the sign past, which I have told thee before, then shall thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when the last shall be seen, earthquake and uproar of people in the world. Let's go at verse 1. When thou seest part of the sign past, which is a part of the sign? This, man.
Breaking news out of Venezuela, where an attempted coup is underway there. You heard that right. Opposition leader Juan Guaido calling for the military to oust the sitting president, Nicolas Maduro. In an early morning video, Guaido saying, quote, the moment is now, calling for his supporters to take to the streets, and many answering that call. Crowds gathered around an Air Force base in Caracas, the capital, and both Maduro and Guaido are claiming that they have the support of Venezuela's military. That'll be the key question. Who is right? Joining me now is CNN senior international correspondent Nick Payton-Walsh. He's been on the ground there in Venezuela many times. What is the latest, and how serious a threat is this to the sitting government of Nicolas Maduro?
Jim, and we've talked about this continuing protest movement inside Venezuela, but today is something very new. We're talking about Juan Guaido, who has declared himself the interim president, has been recognised by dozens of countries, including the US and the European Union, for the first time as dawn broke, saying he was in a military base, standing up, flanked by what looked like to be Venezuelan National Guard, Venezuelan army, with riot police vehicles behind them, and importantly, an opposition leader who's supposed to be under house arrest, Leopoldo Lopez, to one of his sides, standing there and saying this is the beginning of the end. This is what we call Operation Freedom, and calling on people to stand up and get rid of the usurper. That's what he refers to Nicolas Maduro, the president whose presidency he considers to be illegitimate. That is a staggering moment of theatre, something Juan Guaido is very good at, frankly, but hasn't always managed to translate it into something real on the street. Are what we're seeing now the first signs of possibly the military turning? What's startling you're seeing there in those images are the blue armbands that appear to be being worn by Venezuelan soldiers who are sympathetic with the opposition. That's what we seem to be seeing. And the fact that the tear gas that regularly flies at these opposition demos, they often last hours, people throw rocks, they go home. This tear gas is being used on Venezuelan soldiers themselves. See that there? That is very different. I should point out too, we've heard from Reuters and our reporter on the ground, Stefano Pozzebon, saying that they've heard what seems like gunshots in the past half hour or so. Now, I should bear in mind that could mean a lot of things. Could be blanks, could be rounds fired in the air. It could be somebody nothing to do with either military taking matters into their own hands. But it shows a certain sharpening of the situation, which we haven't really seen before. Live ammo is not something I've seen used much. Rubber bullets have been fired in the past. So the big question now is, what does the Venezuelan government do? What's interesting to see is their reaction. You have there on the screen the phrase attempted coup. That's certainly what they are calling it. And while they've used a lot of inflammatory rhetoric in the past years or so against their opposition, on a day like today, to say this is a coup, well, that simply just pours gasoline onto the opposition's own fire, potentially gathering momentum for them. And interestingly enough, too, the people around Nicolas Maduro, they're calling his protesters out onto the street. That's not abnormal, but it is abnormal for them to say, can you please come around the presidential palace, Miraflores? Now, why is all this happening today? Well, tomorrow was supposed to be a nationwide day of protest called by the Venezuelan opposition, May the 1st, dozens potentially of places around the country to get people out on the streets. Many thought the movement was really flagging. You know, it had been months. They'd had a lot of external support, but really Juan Guaido hadn't translated that. Great as he is on social media at fanning the flames of protest, he hadn't translated that into real practical action. Is what we're seeing on the streets today a change? We'll know in the hours ahead, but I have to say, I didn't expect to see this, Jim.
Nick, help us understand what we're seeing on the screens here. So you're saying, and you note what is important here is some of those soldiers wearing armbands that appear to show that they do, as Guaido is claiming, support him, support the opposition. Now, the tear gas you're saying here, is that being fired on soldiers by other soldiers? Does this indicate a split in the military now?
Yeah, I think what you're seeing there is some of that. Now, I can't tell precisely because of the camera angle, but that looks to be around the main airport where we often see standoffs between demonstrators and the military. The military inside often fire out tear gas to keep people away. You get kids sometimes chasing at the fences, throwing rocks, throwing Molotov cocktails, doing what they can. A lot of poverty and frustration at the heart of some of these protests too. What we seem to be seeing there is tear gas there. You see a soldier throwing away that tear gas canister, tear gas being used against the military. That is startling. This is what's new about today, Jim, and this is what takes us to a new place. No way of proving those people in military uniform on the protester side are certainly Venezuelan soldiers, but there's a lot of them, and they seem to know what they're doing, Jim.
Okay, Nick, stand by. We're going to bring in Stefano Pozzebon. He is on the ground in Caracas. He joins us now by telephone. Stefano, these are remarkable images we're watching now on our air, which appear to show some members of the Venezuelan military who, as Juan Guaido is claiming, support the opposition here. Tell us what you're seeing on the ground, and is there more reporting to back up that there's now a split within the military?
Yes, exactly. What we're seeing here is a very tense situation with military and soldiers mainly uniform on both sides. Both with the protesters have been gathering here since early hours of today, and inside the military airbase where the forces loyal to Nicolas Maduro are staying put. We're seeing both sides with military forces and for a very short amount of time shots. A lot of shots have been fired in a moment of tension.
This is second days. 15. Let's start at verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draws nigh. And the one people shall stand up, fight against another, and the swords in their hands. What is the present day sword? Guns, and all kind of weapon. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their king. So they are not regarding their king, Madula, man. No princess. And the cause of their action shall stand in their power, man. They want to tap Madula. And these things are going to increase on the coming days, man. And they will reach into Egypt, man, or Babylon. Dot of Babylon is a virgin dot of Babylon. America haven't been touched, man. So this is an example of what coming to America. Man. A man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able. For because of their pride the city shall be troubled, and the house shall be destroyed, and the men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity his neighbor, but shall destroy their house with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of pride and for great celebration. You see? So that's what going to happen, man. That's what's coming. That's what basically coming. This is Isaiah 19. Let's start at verse 2. And I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, seat against seat, and the kingdom against kingdom. So this is small fighting, which is happening all over the world. They are going to culminate into a big fight. Seat against, it is neighbor against neighbor, then seat against seat, and the kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. So before these things come to Egypt, remember Egypt. Egypt is virgin, man. It has never been touched. So these things will start into another country, then to Egypt, man. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. And I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idol, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirit, to the wizards. You see, and the Egyptian will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, says the Lord of hosts. And the waters shall fail from the sea, and the river shall be wasted and dried. So this central intelligence and all of that behind their intelligence, their wise man shall fail, man. And the water shall fail from the sea, and the river shall be wasted and dried. That's what it means. They shall turn the river far away, and the brook of defense shall be emptied and dried up. The reed and the flag shall wither. Verse 8. And the fishes also shall mourn, and all those that cast anger on the brook shall lament, and they shall spread net upon the water shall languish. So here it is basically telling there is no any production going on in Egypt when Anak and Mayhem start, man. They tell you the grind shall fail, man. And the great famine shall come. When all hell break loose, nobody will be going to work, man. So the famine will ensue. That's why you see Esau is preparing all this doomsday preppers, man. They shall not eat what they are preparing. They are preparing that for the men of the Lord. The men of the Lord is they will eat their food, man. So that was it, man. Something spooky is going on there in South America, and that will eventually reach to America. So get prepared, man. Before hell break loose, you need to be equipped with the knowledge of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So that was it. I hope the lesson was edifying. Until next time, shalom.